Yo, what's good? This is Gambino here to break down UFC 271. We got 14 bouts, so I'll try to make it quick. Um, Last week was okay. I believe I went 9 out of 13, something like that. Um, so yeah, let's get on to this card. We got William Knight versus Maxime Grisham. Look at that poster. Why they got Whittaker looking back like regret something? I don't know. All right, but we got William Knight versus Maxime Grisham. This was I was going back and forth with this. Really, the weigh-ins is what made me decide to go with Maxime here. Um, I felt like William Knight is this big ball of energy and it's just all muscle and just could knock anybody out. But I think Maxime will be able to stay his distance, use his reach, and put enough punches on William Knight to KO him. And I have a feeling a TKO maybe late second round, early third round. I think William Knight's probably going to run out of gas. He's going to probably most more than likely go pedal to the metal in the first round, and I think that's going to be his downfall. He's going to try to get that knockout. Maxime will be able to use his feet to stay his distance and his jab and uh, get his reads for the second round and capitalize. So I'm going with Maxime Grishin here, number 31 versus number 23, and Maxime will go up to 23. Jeremiah Wells versus Mike Mathetha Blood Diamond. Um, in the beginning, another this is a fight where I would pick Blood Diamond, but he hasn't fought in over 2 years, and I made the a bad call last week with Dennis Bondar, another guy who hadn't fought in 2 years, and you saw um, what was this guy's name? Malcolm Gordon. He just was going into that fight with more speed, just used to being in a fight, and Dennis Bondar was still getting, he was still heating up, and so I'm gonna be going with Jeremiah Wells. He's been the active fighter out of the two. Blood Diamond hasn't fought in 2 years, so I'm gonna be going with another favorite here. Next, we got next DeAndre Douglas. What's this motherfucker's name? Yeah, Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Sergey Morozov. Um, I feel like everybody thinks Sergey's just gonna out wrestle this guy, and I think he's gonna have a hard time with that. Silva is another ball of energy. He's coming in shape. This is a big test for Morozov, um, and De Andrade has 27 wins. How many does he have by knockout? A ton, and I've seen Morozov get KO'd in in a smaller promotion. He's got 20 KOs, TKOs out of his 27 wins. This is my first dog of the night, um, and it to me it doesn't seem that far fetched. I believe Douglas has got the experience. He's been in the UFC for quite some time, and this is Morozov's first. I believe he's going down in weight. Maybe not, but he's got. I think what his issue is going to be that he wants to get up close. I haven't really seen a whole lot of kicks from him, so he's gonna want to box. And if you're gonna box Douglas Silva de Andrade, I mean, you're putting yourself in harm's way. So it just doesn't seem very unlikely that de Andrade knocks this guy out. Yeah, this fight right here, Josh Rittinghouse, who was on the not the contender series, but tough, the Ultimate Fighter, and he got knocked out by this guy who no longer fights. So I think De Andrade has. I think that's where the value is at with De Andrade. So I'm gonna be going with Douglas here to pull off the upset. And it just seems like nobody's giving this guy a chance. It's number 55 versus number 64. I like Douglas here to get the W, so that's what I'm going with. Jacob Malkoon versus AJ Dobson. I might be a little biased here because Jacob Malkoon really let me down against Phil Hawes. Um, was doing pretty good that night. I mean, a buddy of mine hit a perfect parlay that night, so it was pretty crazy. Um, and it was all favorites that night. It seemed like maybe one dog, but Jacob Malkoon was a dog in that in on that card. I believe it was the Gaethje versus Khabib fight, and he let me down. So I have a hard time trusting this guy. And AJ Dobson just looks like ready to fight right out the gate. He's just ready to go. And if Jacob Malkoon wants to grapple, I believe AJ Dobson is more than versed in that realm to be able to beat Malkoon there. Um, Malkoon has a good single leg. I just feel like Dobson's going to have the faster strikes here. He's going to be more aggressive. He's got a strong ground and pound. He beats his opponents up on the ground and then looks for the TKO. He's got Mark Coleman in his corner, so he's gonna. I believe his wrestling is gonna be up to par with Jacob Malkoon's, who's coming out of Australia. So I believe this is a good matchup. The only thing that worries me is the cardio. It's the only thing that worries me. Just because this guy's out here just knocking fools out, so there isn't a whole lot of what's going on here, man. Ta-da! Shit like magic. So he's got one win by decision. Everything else is just get out of here. You don't belong in the cage with me. So I think that's what's going to happen here. Another Phil Halls type of situation. Phil Halls is really chinny. I don't know how Jacob Malcolm lost to that guy. So I understand the power. And, well, AJ Dobson has power and a pretty decent chin from what I've seen. So on to the next. We got Ronnie Lawrence versus Mana Martinez. This is a fight where I would have picked Mana Martinez, but he's just too wild. Ronnie Lawrence is going to be very technical, whether it's on the ground or in the stand up. Mana Martinez is definitely a very game opponent, but I think him being so wild and just kind of flowing, and it doesn't really seem like he has a game plan. If he has one, it kind of goes out the window once there's like blood in there. And Ronnie Lawrence seems more poised and composed, and that's what I believe is going to win him this fight here. Because Mana Martinez seems to have a decent ground game, so he could potentially reverse a couple takedowns. But I believe Ronnie Lawrence will stick to his game plan. If it's keep taking him down, he's just gonna keep taking him down, and I can't see Martinez having the cardio to just keep getting back up. He is game. He's very game, but he almost lost to Guido Cantaneni or something like that. Yeah, Guido Canetti, barely won by split decision. He's going to be fighting a bigger opponent here, not as a little shorter than him, but bigger than Canetti. And is Ronnie's going to be mixing it up. I think that's just going to be too much for Mana. So I'm going to be going with another favorite here, and Ronnie Lawrence. Then we got Carlos Olberg versus Fabio Sharon. This is a difficult fight only because there's a whole lot of unknowns. There isn't a whole like there's so many questions that need to be asked. Like how good is Carlos Olberg's wrestling? Can Fabio Sharon get past Carlos Olberg's strikes, which he was putting it on Kennedy in his last fight, and Fabio Sharon it's just a slow starter. He's there. He's like me and you, just watching the fight, instead of being in the fight. So I'm gonna be going with Carlos Olberg here, a popular pick. Fabio, I guess he is the more well-rounded fighter here. Potentially, see that's the issue though. There's just so many if, ands, or buts with Fabio, where we all know Carlos here is is good is good with the striking. He's got good striking. He just needs to pace himself. So I'm gonna be going with Carlos Olberg here. I'm thinking he learned from his last bout where he fought a tougher opponent in Kennedy and almost knocked him out. So I'm going with Carlos Olberg here. He's gonna be the first out of Adesanya's team to get a W. Kyler Phillips versus Marcelo Rojo. Um, Marcelo Rojo, tough as fuck, but I believe Kyler Phillips is just gonna be more. He uses his legs a lot more. He uses his kicks a lot more. I believe that'll be the difference maker. I think he'll wear down Marcelo. Make me and Marcelo wants to box. He wants to get up close. He's gonna have to cut that distance. And Kyler Phillips is gonna use the whole ring. He's got active feet constantly. He's light on his feet, just constantly moving. He's gonna make Marcelo Rojo work. This is number 16 versus. Well, this is his first fight at bantamweight in the UFC. So um, I can see this turning into a bit of a grappling match, and Kyler Phillips will have the better wrestling out of the two. Marcelo won't mind laying on his back. I think Kyler could at one point take the back, go for a TKO, or get a submission on Marcelo. Which is crazy because Marcelo is tough, but I can see Kyler getting a finish here. So I'm gonna go with Kyler Phillips, and I'm going by finish also, inside the distance. Roxanne Modafferi versus Casey O'Neill. Roxanne coming out as showing up as All Might in her weigh-ins. Um, what is this at? Roxanne, she uses her feints. She's got good top pressure. So if she gets on top, she's pretty good at staying on there. So this is a fight where I believe these are two similar women. Um, as far as the style that Casey has shown in the UFC. And I've seen a narrative where people are saying that a big reason Roxanne lost to Vivian and what's Brazilian homegirl's name, the other Brazilian chick, Santos. I believe it was Santos. Just knocked out yeah, Talia Santos. That she was getting manhandled because these girls are big. You know, they look like they might have took some PEDs. You know, as my friend would say, the Tremboloni sandwich. Um, Shout out Mugs. Uh, but I'm thinking Casey O'Neill is just gonna be younger, hungrier, and both of these ladies like to push the pace. But I just think Casey's gonna be able to push it a whole lot more. Um, Casey's is going to be better with the striking, but if it hits the ground, I believe there will be moments where Casey wants to prove that she can hang with somebody at the level of Roxanne's. So I like Casey O'Neill here, another very high favorite, very big favorite. She's 8-0. This is going to be a good measuring stick for Casey O'Neill. She should win. This is Roxanne's last fight. She's got busted knees. Casey should you know beat the hell out of this chick, and I mean she could get a finish here. That's where the money would be at. Would be Casey getting a finish. Everybody thinks um, Roxanne's gonna get past the third round and go to the judges. It should be an interesting fight. I think there will be some moments for anybody picking Casey where we will be sweating. Um, it wouldn't be a bad fight to hedge with Roxanne, I guess. Not really. Don't do that. Yeah, I'm here to see number 17 take number 13, Casey O'Neill to get the W. On to the next. We got Andre Arlovsky versus Jared Vandera. 32-20 versus 12-6. Number 15 versus number 58. Um, I want to pick Jared Vandera. I think if he wrestles and mixes in the grappling, he can win. I think he could get a submission on Andre. but I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Uh, Watching his interview on Wednesday, he does seem he's like he said he's fangirling. He's a fangirl, and he's gonna want to strike with our Arlovsky, and I don't think that's a great idea. Arlovsky's just gonna circle the cage, make Jared Vandera have to chase him around. I think Andre could piece up Vandera as he's trying to cut the distance. Um, what worries me is that Vandera does have a pretty good motor. He should be he'll probably be the more composed fighter, not composed, but have some more gas in the tank and in the third round. So that'll be the round where I'm sweating the most. But I'm gonna be picking Andre here. He's beat some good up and coming prospects, and it looks like that's just the type of fighters they're giving to Andre. He's being used as a measuring stick for these fighters, and Jared Vandera has had some tough fights in the UFC. But Justin Tafa, I don't believe you go from Tafa to Andre Arlovsky. I don't believe that's such a good matchup for him, or that's a big step for Jared. So I'm gonna stick with Andre here. Next, we got Nazarat Hakparas versus Bobby Green. Uh, this is a difficult fight here. Difficult fight, scary fight. Number 24 versus number 18. Bobby Green is picking this fight up on short notice, but not incredibly short. He's known since the beginning of January, something like that. Um, and my biggest issue with Bobby Green is that he really lets his opponents appear as though they're hitting him, even though we all know he's using that Philly shell and bobbing and weaving, slipping these punches. It doesn't look very good sometimes, and he's taunting and he's trying to tell his opponent, "Oh, that didn't hit. That wasn't a clean hit." But the judges are there just watching him get hit. People talk a lot of game, talk him up with his defense, but you look at the stats and it shows that he is getting hit. Um, but with that being said, I do believe that Nazareth just doesn't mix it up enough, and Bobby Green can mix it up. Will he? I don't know. I don't think so. Not too much. I don't know if there'll be any wrestling involved, but I do know that if Bobby Green is being pressured, he might shoot. If Nazareth is gets desperate like he did in the Dan Hooker fight, where he's just pressuring, and isn't afraid of the takedown, and then bam, he oversteps, he overcommits, and then gets taken down. So I like Bobby Green here to get the W. I don't think it will be a finish. Yeah, I think he'll catch Nazareth as he's trying to cut the distance. I believe he'll. Well, Nazareth has a pretty good tank actually, so Nazareth will probably have the cardio edge here, but Bobby Green will have good volume, and he'll slip enough punches and frustrate Nazareth enough to get the W here. So I like Bobby Green. Nazareth is constantly looking for that left hand. He's got a decent right hook. He is southpaw, but he just wants to fight going forward. I think Bobby Green will be able to use his footwork and his constant mirroring pressure to make Nazareth will under his pressure. I believe Bobby Green will be able to maintain the range, and any range that they're in, he'll be more comfortable than over Nazareth. Nazareth wants to be in this medium to short range, while Bobby Green stays long, uses his jab, and if Nazareth steps over commits and gets too close, Bobby Green could just Muay Thai clench, throw the knees, finish the fight from that position. I got Bobby Green here. Alexander Hernandez versus Renato Moycano. I'm not a big fan of Alexander Hernandez. Just very arrogant. Even as I watch his videos now, he just seems very arrogant. Like you bit up Chris Grutzenmacher, and the dude that was his first fight in like 5 years. Who knows? But the man is old, and had that man, and he was like training out of his garage. If that man had been in an actual gym, I think he would have beat Alexander. I've seen Alexander well under pressure. Um, Renato is, and his footwork just seems like, yeah, he's all over. He's got good footwork, but it just there's a pattern to it. It seems like he can get timed. He's very aggressive. He's got a good forward pressure, but just he bites hard to the feints. He just mainly wants to land a bomb, and he starts to panic wrestle, and that's just not a good thing to try to do against somebody like Renato, who's fought better opponents. He's fought way better opponents than Alexander Hernandez. He deserves to be number 23, and he'll soon be number 21. I got Renato here winning. He'll have the more versatile striking, even though Alexander Hernandez just to me is like all show, while Renato is a real deal. He doesn't need to be flashy. He's just gonna beat your ass. So I got Renato Moycano here taking the dub. And we got Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson. Jesus, these fights are hard as shit to call, by the way. A lot of these. But I'm gonna be going with a popular pick here, I feel like, in Derek Brunson. Yeah, I know. But Jared Cannonier has lost to a couple wrestlers and Glover Teixeira and Jean Blachowicz. It just makes me feel like, and Derek Brunson is pretty relentless with those takedowns. And once Jared Cannonier his cardio starts to take a hit, he just accepts staying on his back. Um, Derek Brunson will be a southpaw here. He's violent. He's got good violent ground and pound. His strikes on the feet, they're a little loopy. He's just going for these big looping punches. Um, he wears on his opponent with his constant pressure and relentless takedowns. He's got good volume and a good pace. He's fought in 5 round fights before. I believe so has Jared Cannonier, but Jared Cannonier doesn't have a whole lot of volume. Um, Hold on, give me a second, Noodle. I'll be right out. Just give me a second. Um, I think Derek Brunson wins this by decision. Jared Cannonier is very fast. He's athletic, explosive. He's got decent cardio. Both of these guys' cardio is not the best, but the way that Derek Brunson fight makes me believe that his style just takes up a lot of gas. So I believe Derek Brunson here is gonna have the advantage with the wrestling, and he will have the power to to compete with Jared, because that's what Jared Cannonier's best best chances of winning are going to be with using his feints, and he's also going to have a hard time cutting that distance. Not that he'll really need it, since Derek Brunson will be clashing with him in the pocket. Um, he's going to want a technical boxing match, and Derek Brunson's going to make this nasty and dirty. So I like Derek Brunson here to take the W. Um, Derek Lewis versus Atai Chuivasa. That's his new product he's out here selling. Um, yeah, sorry, Noodle. I'll be right out though. Um, Derek Lewis versus Ty number 4 versus number 10. Um, Ty uses his leg kicks. He's heavy with those kicks. Um, He's good. He's good. I can see why a lot of people think he's going to win. Um, I just think he's doesn't have the experience. Derek Lewis has fought a similar opponent in Astai and Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt was smart in his approach, where he made it a technical boxing match, kickboxing match, and Derek Lewis tends to back up a lot, try to lure his opponents, and then explodes on them and lands big bombs and kills them, basically leaves them unconscious on the floor. And I think it's gonna be another one of those fights. He's coming out here swanging and banging. Um, there isn't a whole lot to say about Derek Lewis besides that he's not very he's not light on his feet. He's plotting all over the cage, all over the ring. He circles around the cage and then bursts with a couple of punches. If JDS was able to clip Tai Tuivasa 3 times in their fight, I just think Derek Lewis is gonna, if he just lands one or two of his bombs, it's night night for Tai. Um, and then if Derek Lewis ends up on top of Tai Tuivasa, I think that's bad news for Tai. I don't think he has the ability to get back up on his feet. So not that Derek Lewis is gonna wrestle, but he's fought some pretty good wrestlers. So I believe Derek Lewis just has the experience. This would be a good fight for Tai, but I think Derek Lewis is gonna bring it home. He's gonna do it for his hometown in Houston. He's going out swinging and banging. Then we got the main event: Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. I believe you saw it all in the first fight. Everybody knows what Robert Whittaker has to do. He has to cut the distance. He can't stay at range, or else he's gonna get pieced up. And I mean, Israel Adesanya can fight a dirty boxing style. So I just can't see a place where Robert Whittaker is going to be comfortable. He just expends so much energy in getting in and out of that pocket, so that, and just to get hit anyways. So he did really good in his fight against Israel Adesanya, but Israel was able to make the reads to adjust, and I can't see Robert being able to wrestle down Israel. Israel has fought bigger opponents like Jan Blachowicz. So I just see this as being a very, very difficult fight for Robert. So it just makes more sense to me to go with Israel. I think this fight ends inside the distance. I like the under 3.5 bet for this. And well, yeah, those are all my picks right there. So we going with Israel Adesanya, Derek Lewis, Derek Brunson, Renato Moycano, Bobby Green, Andre Arlovsky, Casey O'Neill, Kyler Phillips, Carlos Olberg, Ronnie Lawrence, AJ Dobson, Douglas Silva de Andrade, Jeremy Wells, and Maxime Grisham. And yeah, that'll be it for me. This is Champ Focus. They swanging and banging this evening, man. Play a little something for y'all. Swang and bang.